Libraries Joint Powers Authority Board.
Thank you.
Rather than doing another roll call, I will note that the same members are still present. Do you have any additional material on this agenda?
I do not.
Okay, any changes to tonight's agenda?
I do not.
All right, so now it's another opportunity of public comment. It's time to address the Library Joint Powers Board. Does anyone have any comments they would like to make? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Takes us to Library Director's report.
I have submitted the report in writing.
Okay. Takes us to the report from the Friends. We have a friend here in the audience.
Yes. I'm reporting for our new executive director, Marcia Greenspan, who is on her day 4 and is busy hopefully finishing up a grant for the Community Foundation of Santa Cruz County. At least that's what she told me, and I'm sure that's the case.
I saw her when I left the office.
Thank you, yes, I do know. But so we are really excited to have her on board and hoping to streamline some procedures for the library and for us and for chapter, shall we say.
And I just wanted to say Marcia is lived in Santa Cruz County for about 10 years, worked with communities with disabilities, and for the last several years has been working with the homeless services.
Housing Matters. Housing Matters.
Doing fundraising for them, so she brings some really interesting experience. She is also a visual artist, and I think just a bright and sunny personality with lots of creative ideas. So I'm really excited. This is the next step in the evolution of our Friends group, and I'm really excited about the direction we're going.
And the board is too. We're looking forward to having her more than 4 days on. The other great news we had is we had a lovely gift of $100,000 in memory of someone for the Aptos Library from an Aptos resident. The woman was a book club member at Aptos. What a lovely gift. And the Big Friends, as in the Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Library, as opposed to an individual chapter, is the recipient of Hulu's Mahalo Mondays, where they donate 5% of all the revenues, including alcohol, believe it or not, for 5 Mondays in March. So if you're downtown on a Monday, please stop by and help us out. Any questions?
That's for March.
March. Okay. And you get 5 Mondays. What a deal.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
Wonderful to have a new executive director on board. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're excited.
Okay, so that takes us then to the next item on the agenda, which is a report from the Library Advisory Commission.
They have been wonderful.
Mr. White.
Good evening. My name is Bob White, and I'm the new chair of the Library Advisory Commission for 2020. The most recent meetings of the commission were held on January 27th and February 24th. And the following items were addressed by the commission at those 2 meetings. The commission reviewed the proposed meeting room policy, and it actually reviewed that policy twice at 2 separate meetings. And at its January 27th meeting, we voted to, actually it was a unanimous vote, to recommend the policy for approval, which I think we'll be discussing tonight. At its February 24th meeting, the commission discussed the following. We agreed to undertake a systematic review of library policies during this year. So we'll be working closely with Susan on that. The commission also reviewed the budget assumptions for 2021, and this included revenues and expenditures. Under the expenditures category, the following was reviewed. Personnel, job, and classifications. This is something the library would like to do in terms of studying current job classifications to give the library system more flexibility in work and job assignments. Another category that we looked at was facilities operations and maintenance. And this includes ongoing capital improvements and facility maintenance repairs. I think it's going to be becoming even more important as we bring new libraries online, these new library buildings. Another category we looked at is library materials, books, and periodicals. And here the library would like to increase the expenditures or the budgeted amount for materials to meet anticipated increased use. Again, I think we're going to see a dramatic increase in use when these new buildings come online. And this is a good example here, right here in Felton.
We can't wait to show them the empty book bins.
That would be good. The last thing we looked at was the eliminating library fines for overdue books, overdue materials. And this is a national trend, and one endorsed by the American Library Association. So this is a policy and practice that the library would like to implement and look at that possibility this year. That's in my report.
Right?
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add that each of those 4 things will come back as part of the budget process. And we also actually have 4 positions open on the advisory commission right now. One is from Felton, one is 2 are from the city of Santa Cruz, and that is posted now on the city's website. Anyone's interested. And then there's
One more in the county, I forget which district.
Saks District. Saks District. Oh, I'm sorry. So, we're looking for good people. Please tell everyone you know. And looking forward to having some new members. We find that most of the members of the commission get involved in the library in other ways. And so it's a great training ground for new folks to help us with sort of grassroots management of the library.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to the next item on the agenda, which is comments by board members. Anyone have any comments?
I think I gave my
We got them all, got them all out already? Okay. So that takes us to consent calendar. Looks like we have, kind of 9 items on consent tonight. No, 9 items on consent. Sorry. Does anyone want to pull any of the items off consent? Seeing not anyone from the public? Okay. Do we have a motion for consent?
I'll move approval of the consent items, items 9A through 9I. I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. General business, the first item on tonight's agenda then is revenue forecast. Cheryl Fife, Acting Director from Santa Cruz. We have a staff presentation.
And again, we're going to be presenting the budget in May with approval in June. So this is a work in progress. But what we wanted to do is have some conversations, particularly with the city of Santa Cruz and the county, about revenue possibilities.
I was hoping, I was hoping to have a lot more analysis to provide for you on this schedule, but we had a hard week this week. Our data room crashed on Monday morning and we lost a whole week's worth of data. We've been scrambling to try and work on that, so.
And the coronavirus. So.
I'm sorry.
And the coronavirus, so it's been a busy week.
But your first schedule here is just a projection of surpluses and deficits. Notice I want to point out that this is an actual for fiscal year 2019, and we have a 0.4 deficit, but that includes like a $0.8 million CalPERS prepayment toward our unfunded liability. So had we not done that, there would be a $0.4 million surplus. And then we're projecting $0.3 million deficit in fiscal year 2020, ending this year, and then a $0.7 million deficit in 21. And then when we get to fiscal year 22, this includes an additional $1 million from the county for sales tax revenue. So if we go on and we're $0.1 million surplus, breaking even in 23, and a $0.2 million surplus in 24. Below that, you'll see a schedule which shows the expenditures compared to the revenues. And if you follow that graph, you'll see that it follows the same thing as the surpluses and deficits above. So with a little more general detail to that. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this.
So, one of the things that I just want to talk about is, in the past, what we've seen is red going out. And this is the first time we began to include the MOE agreement, bringing resources back to the Santa Cruz Public Library in fiscal year 22. Currently, the county is raising about $1.8 million a year, more than it's being provided to the library operating expenses. That ultimate agreement will also include increases by the city of Santa Cruz, which could be between $200,000 and $300,000. And although these are really, really rough estimates, because we really have to negotiate a plan for the long-term maintenance of all our buildings, and we're not exactly sure where the accountability and financial responsibilities for that is going to lie. We're really just very underestimating that possible revenue. But it does show you that we do have structural imbalances until that MOE agreement comes to an end. But at the point the MOE agreement completes, we should not have major structural imbalances in the out years. I want to say that last year's budget, we had estimated a structural imbalance. We had added 5 additional staff. So this is consistent with those 5 additional staff, but it would allow at the renegotiation of the MOE for those staff to be funded in the future. The other thing I need to say is we have $2 million in our 20% reserve, and we have additional $1 million in unrestricted fund balance. So I do believe that over the next 3 years, with strategic spending of that fund balance and potentially the reserve, we can stay structurally in line with where we need to be and staff our buildings. And we'll have more discussions about this in May, but as we bring things forward, we just wanted to give you some basic context for those discussions.
Another change in this projection is the prior ones you might have seen included a $200,000 pay down toward the unfunded liability also, and that's been removed because there's no plans to do that this time. So.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm sorry it was such a tough week.
Thank you.
We might keep you up there. I feel like there are a couple questions. Any board members have any questions?
I do have one question. So thank you. I had the reserve question, so thank you for offering that. I just wanted to know, we're in the red a bit, but what does that mean? It sounds like we have reserves to meet that as is. So just a question, Cheryl, just about how current the data are on this. I know that this was a discussion some meetings ago. So is this our forecast for this fiscal year, the 0.3 million deficit? Were those estimated actuals from months ago, or are those pretty current?
It's pretty current.
Okay.
Again, it's conservative, but it's pretty current.
Okay.
And, there are some, like there's a vehicle reserve in there, and there's a discussion about that. Are we going to do that? Are we going to, so we haven't had a lot of chances to look forward to see what the library is actually going to do in spending terms. So.
Thank you.
In terms of the prepayment and the unfunded liability, I know we did that in fiscal year 18-19. It's not in this year's budget, is that correct? 19-20?
No, it's not in
Okay.
the budget.
And there's not an intention of doing that again, or if there
remind me, the 18-19 actual, that $400,000 deficit, I seem to recall that the budget that we adopted last June had a bigger number. Is that, or did we do better than we think we did last year?
Yes.
Okay, because I think it was 6, if I remember correctly.
I was thinking 7, so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so we actually closed out last year better than we were thinking. And then this year, 1920, the 300K, I think that's actually better than what we adopted. Our adopted budget, I thought, had more red in it.
Kira, do you know the answer to that?
I think it was around 5.
Right. And do we know if it's due to sales tax outperforming or due to?
Sales tax is definitely up. We've seen a large increase over what we were estimating because of the Wayfair decision and other positive
That's true.
just revenues. Yeah.
So
And
primarily,
that projection has been adjusted for that also.
okay, okay.
We had a large payment. You may recall the state changed systems.
Yes.
So last year's sales tax revenues were down because of all the problems. We got all those one-time corrections in this year, so we've had Wayfair and all these corrections, which have really bumped up our sales tax revenue in the current year.
Okay, well, that's good news. And then for your out-year projections, we have 2.5 FTEs that I think are currently authorized as a temporary overhire. What were we doing with them in your multi-year?
Well, these are based on trends. They're not based on exactly the budget. It's more based on cash and trends that going forward. So,
Because the library, or the budget system can't necessarily recognize that, they're currently budgeted as 5 FTE in the system. We'll have to remove them at the point that they overhire from our complement.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is that they're actually probably included in this projection
They're included in our projections as we're moving
because
forward.
they're real expenditure today, and that's what this is based on, real expenditures today. Okay. Last one, and I promise
Oh,
that'll
it's
be
fine.
I can do this all night with finance, so I'm sorry, buddy.
this is what I do. So.
Yeah. The title of the agenda, the revenue forecast, what are we using for our sales tax projection for next fiscal year in terms of growth? What's the growth
It's
figure?
around 2.5%.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah, it's 2.5 to 3, as I recall.
Wow. Capital, we've been flat, we've been basically 0 for 3 years now.
It's really Wayfair has
Really
had
bumping
Have you
you
seen your
guys.
second quarter or third quarter 19 numbers yet? We just sat down with HDL and it was that same thing. It was first quarter, the Wayfair and the online sales were reported. So if you haven't had a chance, if you
I
haven't
just
looked-
sat down with HDL, but it was for the 1 quarter of I get so confused with the quarters because they use the calendar quarter of each fiscal quarter. But we actually have another data point which actually is pretty good that we got. I think it was for winter, our second quarter. But I haven't met with HDL yet. That was actually a good number for us, which is the first time we've seen a good number in a while. Well, that's great. It's great that overall the trends that we're experiencing in capital are countywide. Okay. Any public comment on this? Seeing now, I'll bring it back to the board. Any further discussion? Do you want any direction tonight, Susan?
If you have some, I'll take it.
Correct me if I'm, the budget's coming in, proposed budget's coming in May, correct?
I think if you're uncomfortable about sort of the assumptions within the forecast, it would be helpful to know that now.
What I would ask maybe is, if you need kind of pre-direction to build a budget, maybe we should schedule out for our next meeting, for an April meeting maybe.
And we don't have
An
an
April meeting, okay. Yeah.
And we brought sort of our budget concerns in February, March, January. So I think maybe we can have conversations one-on-one without breaking the ground.
Sure. Yeah, I think I could give some suggestions, so that's sort of where I'm at, and we can see what the board is there as well. I think number one is, I think you said it was 22 when we would be programmed, when the MOE will change. Or the agreement expires.
The agreement expires at the end of fiscal year 2021, so we would anticipate probably be at least $1 million due to the large amounts being generated.
Okay. Good.
So we
Well,
wanted to start with a conservative estimate.
Yeah.
and that was the only direction I was gonna offer, so let's make sure we're conservative, because this is gonna be subject to negotiation. I don't think the city of Santa Cruz has agreed yet to what their contribution change would be, nor has the county agreed to what its contribution change would be.
There's no signed document.
There's no signed document. And for those of you who lived through this in the past, it can be hard. So hopefully, it's great to see that there's revenue there. Let's just do what we can to be conservative on our end until we actually have those deals inked. Another comment I would make, and this is, I think, something we talked about the last budget cycle, is really trying to understand sort of the operational needs of the library as we move ahead with the libraries opening, some of them closing. Do these libraries operate the same way as old libraries? I would assume it doesn't. I assume that there's probably a lot more tech involved in these libraries. And so trying to think, like, what does it look like for the next 3 to 5 years in terms of, we've talked about this before, but staffing, at Aptos is going to be freed up here relatively shortly, and God knows what's going to happen to Maine. So how we're going to kind of phase people in, not phase people, I know people aren't going to be phased anywhere, but how we're going to be appropriately staffed to meet the needs that we have next year and then in future years. I'd really love to be able to see that multi-year.
And then the thing that we're also going to be discussing in May and June is the recommended hours. And we're going to have to recommend 3 changes of hours in the next fiscal year because of openings and closings. So, like one of our approaches is going to try to put the openings and closings closer together, even if it means holding off a little bit on an opening because there are huge staffing constraints.
Yeah, well, I think clearly the hours tie right into that same conversation about staffing and how the staffing for the facilities are interplaying. So I look forward to that conversation in the budget. And great if we can credibly project 2.5% sales tax growth. Any other board member comments?
We also talked about the fines discussion, so that obviously has budgetary consequences, so we'll sequence that conversation.
And so what we're going to do is present it to you as a budget change proposal that you would have to endorse or not endorse.
And that'd be at the same meeting?
The same
Budget is, okay.
I think we have sort of 4 proposals that we want to bring to you.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I think for me it would be good to see the whole package. I think I could better respond to the information in front of me at that point. And we do our adoption in early June, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Is there any more discussion? I think we've already gone to public comment. Doesn't sound like we need action. So that takes us to the next item. Thank you, Cheryl, so much. To the meeting room policy. Is there a staff presentation?
Eric's been working hard.
So, as you remember, we brought this both to the LAC and to the board here. We've also worked with staff. We're working on a new software that we want to sync up with this policy. But we're really looking at this as a way to, we'll come back to it in the fall. So we know that as we have new buildings, we're going to work out some of the kinks with the software, see how the software syncs up with the policy, and also see how the community accepts the policy. So the idea is to approve it, have this be the policy, and then return in the fall with feedback from our community members and from staff as to how well it's working.
I think our new buildings will really test the new policy, and so we just want to have Felton operate for a while to see what's working. Our goals really, I think, are stated. We want to prioritize learning in these buildings, and we want to make these buildings community gathering places. So the best way to do that and make that equitable to all is challenging. And I just think it's a work in progress, but we really would like to move forward with this right now so that we can begin to operate, particularly the Felton rooms, and see what we know will need to be changed.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
I assume the jurisdictions have access to the community rooms we hold a large number of community meetings for different activities, so I assume, it sounds like that's the case.
Yes, there are some limitations, and we'll do our best to, you're an official partner of the library.
Right.
But honestly, what I don't want is for the library meeting rooms to be taken over by business meetings of the jurisdiction. The goal of these rooms really are public learning.
Okay.
And so the way the policy is written is anything within 2 months that's available is available to anyone in the public. I think if you want to schedule something special, I can approve anything outside the meeting room policy, but I will push back a little bit if we aren't meeting our goals for what these public spaces were designed for. There's some limitations on private events too, like weddings and things. We really want to start with the approach of community learning being a priority for space use.
I think I asked this question at the last meeting, and I apologize because I guess I don't remember the answer, but I know my rec department is hoping to be able to enter into a partnership with the libraries around potentially doing some programming at the library.
And I think our staff has met with your staff.
Yeah.
And are working through a whole variety of things that honor sort of the goals of the library and the goals of the rec staff. I think what we're trying to do is create sort of comparative advantage, like maybe we don't do full charged programs here, but maybe we do intro free classes. We've also been working with friends groups to sponsor things that might normally be charged and offering them free in the building. And what I heard, I should have probably gone into more detail, but I heard when the staff met with the rec department, they felt really good about the meeting and were really excited about where it's going. So I hope your folks felt the same.
Yeah, no, I think they do. I guess my only question is I know the rec usually has a fee for service. Is that inconsistent with this policy?
Generally, yes.
And so if we were to use the community room for a learning to build with Legos class that we offered for $15, that would not be consistent with this policy.
There are ways to do it, but it becomes a lot harder. And the first question we will ask is, how can we do this free?
Okay. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board for deliberation.
Okay. It sounds like,
Should I hung up on that?
yeah.
Should I not be hung up on
So
that?
what I think we should do, this is a work in progress. I'll tell you another one that happens all the time. It's a famous author's willing to come to a local library but wants to sell books. So there are ways you can manage this that allows that to happen, but it's not straight. What I have to do is treat all entities equally, and that's a legal requirement. And so I can't say, you can sell your stuff, but you can't. And so we need to have really logical, written out explanations about, and I'm sure this is the same in Parks and Rec, how we're treating people equally. So an example of the author talks, what we usually do is require that 20% of, or 10 to 20% of what the author sells goes to the Friends of the Library. We actually book the room to the Friends of the Library as a fundraising event, which is allowed within. And the truth of the matter is we want these buildings full of exciting learning opportunities.
Right, that's exactly where I'm at as well. I
Yeah.
love the
So if
space
you're having
needed
a problem
7 nights a
solving,
week.
and we will talk about it. What I don't want is empty buildings. But I also don't want the Zumba class where they're paying $15 a week to displace a free program.
Yeah.
And I guarantee, and you said this, all along, with this building, everyone wants to use it. I've gotten, within 3 days of the opening, the first call saying I want to have a wedding here. And so, I'm a very important member of our community, so.
Well, I liked hearing that this is, like, let's test this out. You know, this is, I know a lot of hands, a lot of eyes have been on this and looked at it, and I really see like the strong ethos of the library throughout, and trying to get the activation and having things be free. And that being, so I'm comfortable with it as is, again, knowing the work that's been done into it, knowing that we're gonna look at it in the fall, and also knowing that we have the flexibility to say, you know, we have a one-off thing, or, you know, could we work on how to make this happen? So I think that's reasonable with some structure and have a little bit of flexibility there. And again, looking at wholesale again in the fall.
I was gonna support that as well. I mean, I feel comfortable knowing that we can always bring this back if it's not working. So like I say, we see how it goes, and then if it's not working, we bring it back.
Do you have specific performance metrics you're trying to hit? Revenue, use, you talked about education.
Less specific than one would hope.
Okay, yep.
So, we're actually having someone study that right now. We have an internal person that has taken on a special project to look at particularly program issues. And Eric just showed me it today, and I hadn't seen it before, so I was really happy.
And it's a really complex science/art as well. Having to just do that a little bit with the space we leased to the Theater Guild, because we wanted to have activation of the space. You know, it was sitting there fallow for 6 years, and we said, okay, we're doing this short-term lease, but we want activation. But how do you characterize activation? What sort of things do you want in there? What's their duration? What are the types of uses? And so I really got the crash course. Thanks for your help, Tony. Some of your staff came and gave us some Santa Cruz experience in that. But it's intricate, so I can just imagine what you're going through now. Yeah.
And I certainly appreciate the challenge. I mean, I think the notion of having Zumba classes in the community with the new library is clearly not the goal. The goal would have to be it's the shared goal of having learning opportunities that are activated in space that's being used. So I'm willing to go along with this and we'll just evaluate it and see how it goes over time. If it works, great. But I think we all have the same thing we'd like to achieve. So.
Thank you.
Great. And I also want to thank the Library Advisory Commission for looking at this multiple times, it sounds like, providing a good recommended document for us. Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move the recommended action.
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So that takes us to the last item on today's agenda, which is a tour of this building. So we are not going to adjourn. So everyone from the public is welcome to join us on this tour as we get to walk around this lovely new library. And before we conclude, we'll come back and adjourn at the end of the evening. So thank you.
Many of you have played really important roles in terms of passing measure tests. And I'm so excited that we can begin to see the fruits of those labors. I think Capitola is going to be extraordinarily beautiful. And even little LaSalva Beach is coming along swimmingly, and I think it's going to blow people away. So.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I've been involved in this for as many years as I have to see this here today. I know what film has been through as a community to try to get this done almost as long as Capitol's been at it, I think.
Yeah, it's been decades. And
Yeah.
we did the history at the grand opening, and it's crazy how long this has been in the making.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's really phenomenal to see. It's a wonderful space, and I am just in love with those butterflies. I just could not be better.
I am too. I've never seen a public art installation like that.
Oh, it's just wonderful. I mean, first I just saw hanging, but then on the wall as well, and the way they just sort of transform color and space, it's just wonderful.
If you ever have an opportunity to use her, I think she's in Boulder Creek. What's the other
Ben
one?
Lomond?
Ben Lomond.
Yeah, it's one of them.
There were such amazing glass artists in this county. With Roy Johnson in Capitola has done some just amazing stuff.
Annie Love.
Yeah, I was gonna say, her famous one in Watsonville, but yes, it's really wonderful.
My favorite thing about the library, and there are many, is how it's really just a big open space. And yet you created all these individual nooks and spaces. And so your experience can be completely different, sitting in these high-backed booth and banquette chairs here versus being along the bar, and so like the different materials and the spaces and the different heights. So that intention, I think, is extraordinary about it. But then it retains all this openness, but then the intimacy of where you are. So that is really masterful. So whoever your designer was a group.
It was Nolan Tan that did the
Nolan Tan.
interiors, and
Yeah.
Tim Messer did the exteriors, and I think they're both lovely, and they, we're trying to make everyone different. I think you'll find Capitola to be very different from this. And I think this really captures this community, and I think Capitola is architecturally, it's a sleeker, more sort of oceany, this is more of a woodsy, it's beautiful.
Can't wait, Jamie. Am I
I
invited to your party?
We're sleek. I have no idea. All right, well, thank you all for coming. With that, our meeting is adjourned. Good night.
Thank you.
Very good news.